All right, welcome everyone to another video. The first video I have recorded in about 4 days. And to that point, I'm going to make a little bit of a brief mention about upload schedule before I talk about the global stuff that I want to talk about in this video. And then I'm also going to do a little bit of a talk about what's been going on JP, and that's going to be the video. So first off, channel related stuff. For the actual channel, I have not been recording any videos for pretty much the last week. Anything that you've seen for uploads, I have done previously. Basically, I'm at a good point where I hit halfway through Fantasian Neo Dimension playthrough, and much like FF12, I might be taking a break from it for a little bit in case people are playing it and want to get a little bit ahead, or just because RPGs are really, really, really long. I've been doing a lot of studying and educating myself over the last week, and that's going to be continuing for me for the next little while, and it's incredibly important to me. I still want to make videos, I still want to do the Wotv coverage thing, but that is where my priorities lie right now, and I hope everybody will support it. Also, if you want to just keep watching videos to help support me, maybe work my way to getting a better graphics card for my computer, that would be fantastic. I love you all. Now, when it comes to channel stuff for the month of February, I don't actually have any playthroughs planned. I haven't put anything out in the feel space of the actual channel description about anything that I want to do or don't want to do. Basically right now I'm just kind of thinking to myself, hey, probably need to do something, but I don't really know what, because a lot of my time is being devoted to education. So that is kind of the way it is. But I have put one feeler out, which was basically live stream. So the month of February might be live stream month, where I am going to try and do some live streams, and not serious live streams, not necessarily playing anything like crazy. And also I'm going to be trying something new, which is I'm going to be trying to stream both to Twitch and YouTube at the same time and see how that works. I'm basically up in my game a little bit, but just a little bit. As for what games I'm playing, I have no idea. I just hope people will come and join in. I don't really have a huge interest in streaming Wotv because there isn't much going on at the moment, but who knows, with events that happen, maybe some things will change. So just kind of stay tuned for that. But February is kind of looking like live stream month. And I also might be doing something with the FF7 Rebirth playthrough since it's finally out on PC. Again, stay tuned for that. Okay, so 3 minutes in, let's talk about the global news, which is to do, of course, with Exdeath. JP doesn't have any news out yet. I'll just make mention of that right now. And everything that I'm going to talk about is specifically my own experience from Exdeath, because at this point there really hasn't been any movement from the community, from fan sites or anything about best teams or anything like that. So I'm just going 100% off on my own experience of using Exdeath, to which I would like to just state very quickly that yes, I have used Exdeath a considerable amount. He is actually my highest used character probably since AC Sephiroth, in all honesty. Like this dude right here, this tree that you see on screen, this is my guy. He's been my guy that I've used in guild battle, I've used in arena, and I've used also in a little bit of limited arena too. And I'm going to talk about all of that very quickly before, in terms of Exdeath. And then the JP thing is, if you're wondering about what's been going on JP, that will be after this again. All right, so Exdeath, I've used in arena. He's been my favorite, absolute favorite character that I have ever used for a really long time, because he's been so consistent with Shrekken, which I basically got from Anniversary, and it didn't cost that much to actually upgrade her. And just to show the team that I have been running, it's not this one, it's listed under top 3. This is a team I have been running in duels for 3 weeks now, and it has been just absolutely amazing. For everyone who is like, oh, well, I mean, like, I don't know about that. Well, I mean, if you have Summer Resnick, go ahead and replace it. But Lucielle is a character that is accessible. And if you got her an anniversary from the Select 3 thing for 3 Select 120s, well, you probably should have chosen her and Shreka, but hindsight's 2020. Although I think that was my recommendation. I don't know. Anyway, this team, not really that intensive, given that, I haven't done a lot of the reliquary quests, although I do have this up to 50. I don't actually have it a +1. Really insanely easy over the last week to fight just multiple different types of teams. Not the highest tier teams, but to stay above 5,000 for weeks previously, where I had a difficult time figuring out teams and whatnot, this team has just been easy street. Absolute easy street for me. Even given, new Monts out there, evasion teams out there, and a bunch of different stuff in the play space right now for duels. This has worked so incredibly good for me. It's just been like 600, 700 points constantly. And this is the thing where I really want to talk about, just that, I mean, it was probably a little bit of how JP was last week, but it does speak worlds, where I skipped last Monday and only played the other 6 days of the week. And I was like top like 3,000, I think. For this team, just because its pointage is so consistently high. And yes, I do expect that a lot of players are not playing right now. Again, a little bit later. But I think that, I just want to, like, I love Exdeath. He's so cool. Animations, Limit Burst animation specifically is one of my favorites. Cool. He's great in the element. He's great with multiple mage characters. Fantastic. Love him to death. He's an insane. He is what Golbez should have been. There you go. There's the strongest recommendation. I also want to speak really quickly as to my experience with Guild Battle, which has put into a limited time this week. And as you can see, this is basically the team I'm running. 560 is the max cost. So I kind of hit the best I can. And yes, it's not technically well built. I know. It's just the way it's worked out. And as it turns out, my guild leader is just not playing right now, so that's also been a little big pile of shit for like try-harding, but it has given me the freedom to essentially run this team and see what I could try and get away with. Didn't work so well. It works less consistently well than the duels team, so it kind of does speak that, at least from my experience, doesn't work as well with limited cost stuff where you can't have all the VC support and everything. There is a breaking point to this team, and I think it is pretty evident from my experience when it happens. But anyway, all right. So that is everything to talk about Global. I strongly recommend Exdeath still. He's one of my favorite characters that I've seen in Wotv in a good long time. Enough said. Let's move on and talk about JP. Which is basically that JP is kind of quiet right now. JP has essentially kind of, like, I don't know how to say this exactly, so bottomed out in terms of player base. Like, yes, my teams have been consistently high scoring, but I do feel like a lot of JP players have just completely skipped Mavia, are paying no attention, and it does make sense. January, the 1st of January characters always strike very hard, and then we see a considerable drop off until something new happens, which will be in February. So right now, if you're wondering, like, where are the team building videos, where's all of that? Well, I've covered it about as much as I can. To to the available material that is out there for a player of my stature who is just not interested in spending $100, $200, $300, $400 to build a top tier team, to get a ton of data to just kind of peter out at this point, especially because there will be new meta characters coming in the near future for the beginning of February. So meta shift is probably going to happen at least a little bit, and a next collaboration and all that. So, I mean, JP is essentially in a pretty good spot where I would say that from my experience, the limited time events right now, guns are hot. Guns are super hot right now. Jaden, Yuna, plus something else, depending on what exact content you're going in, is actually just really, really good. Just to bring it up again, because we had a limited time duels event, just showing off right here. This was the team I actually chose to run for it and was doing quite well. It is cost limited to 270, so I was very, very happy with how this team performed. And range characters in the limited content for both guild as well as duels seems to be really generally good, whereas full-fledged arena right now is more of helter-skelter, hodgepodge. But I mean, in terms of like updating team hierarchy, there hasn't been anything. Game 8 is probably the best source right now of an overall consensus, without asking, pro players. But if you're not interested at that high level, generally Game 8 is the best guide for most players out there. And to that end, there's been no movement on it. Like it's still frozen to as it was like a couple of weeks ago. The meta hasn't shifted. There's been no new tier lists, and why would there be? Maybe barely move the needle. She's interesting, but she's hardly like meta dominant or anything like that, and doesn't feel like enough JP players went for it. So if I was to summarize basically the JP situation right now, there's a lot of stuff that is good. I still highly like my Exdeath team and having a lot of success for that. Limited style teams, though, it feels like Gunner is probably a little bit stronger. Pure Ice is doing really nice stuff, especially for me in the limited cost content. And I mean, like, there isn't really much of anything happening. This is the sleepiest period of Wotv since probably November, and quite rightly so, because this is about that time that most people are checked out. So that is as much as I can give you, at least for now. Probably later today or or about 24 hours from now, we'll have an idea for what the next character is, so stay tuned for that. And as for the February plans for the channel, I'll try and keep you updated as best I can. So thank you so much for watching. Take care. See you later. And get Exdeath.